You see, the funny thing about pain is it never asks for permission before it carves itself into you. It just shows up, crashes into your chest, breaks every rule, and leaves you bleeding in silence. And the people who caused it, they walk away, like nothing happened, like they didn't just bury a knife between your ribs and twist it. While smiling, they laugh, they sleep peacefully. Meanwhile, you sit in that same room, same bed, same clothes, trying to breathe with a heart that don't beat the same anymore. But here's what they don't know, what they'll never understand. You healed quietly, silently, alone. And that's what makes you dangerous. You didn't post about it. You didn't beg for sympathy. You didn't drag their names through the dirt, even though they deserved it. You just disappeared, and silence, oh, silence is lethal, my friend. It's a graveyard for cowards. See, when someone wounds you, and you stay quiet, they expect you to crumble, fall apart, vanish like dust. But when you keep moving, step by step, scar by scar, stitching yourself back together without a sound, that's when they start to panic. 'Cause nothing scares them more than the one who never screamed, the one who smiled through blood, the one who never needed vengeance to win. You want to know the sick truth? They thought you were weak, 'cause you cared, because you stayed loyal, because you gave a damn when nobody else did. But that was your power. Real strength ain't in fists or threats. It's in how much you can take without turning bitter. And you took hell and didn't become the devil. That's power. That's poison-proof. That's invincible. They tried to break you with silence, so you mastered it. They tried to drown you in your own emotions, so you learned to swim in fire. And now you don't flinch, you don't chase, you don't explain, you don't beg. You just watch them burn in the hole they dug for you. Funny, right? How they treated your love, like it was disposable, like your loyalty was cheap, like your presence was ordinary. But now that you're gone, oh, now they feel it. The absence, the weight of everything you were, that warmth you gave them for free. Gone that support you held them up with, vanished that comfort. You were snatched away, and suddenly everything they find feels cold. Everyone they meet feels empty, 'cause they realize too late you weren't just a chapter. You were the whole damn book. You don't need to get revenge. That ain't your style. You don't need to scream to prove a point. You don't even need to explain what they did. Your growth, your success, your silence. That's the revenge, every winning you get, every door you open every time you smile without them. That's the bullet to their ego. That's how the quiet ones destroy them. You never had to become the villain in their story. You just became the ending they regret. And now they scroll through old messages, stare at your pictures, try to read between lines that were never meant to be decoded by guilt. You ever notice how they don't reach out when they miss you? No, they stalk. They wonder, they spiral, 'cause pride is a louder voice than apology. In people who never valued you, they act like they don't care, but they care enough to check to lurk, to keep your name floating in their head like a ghost they can't exorcise, and they'll never admit it. They'll never say, "I was wrong," or "I took you for granted," or "you were everything," because that would mean owning their cowardice. And cowards don't own anything except denial. So instead, they lie to themselves. You changed. You switched up. Nah, you just got tired of bleeding. For people who wouldn't even hand you a damn tissue, you didn't switch up. You leveled up. You stopped watering dead plants. You stopped pouring into cups that never filled yours. You woke up and realized loyalty without reciprocity is just slavery in disguise. You ain't cold. You're focused. You ain't bitter. You're wise. You ain't angry. You're awakened. And trust me, that's what scares them most. They never expected you to find peace without them. They thought you'd chase. They thought you'd beg. But instead you built. You trained. You learned. You grew. And now they sit in their own mess, wondering how they let a diamond slip through their filthy little fingers. You see, people will hurt you just to feel powerful. They'll test you, break you, then pretend they didn't notice the damage. And when you stand up, when you dust yourself off and look them in the eye without flinching, that's when the game changes. 'Cause now they know they couldn't kill you. They couldn't turn you into one of them. You didn't become cruel. You didn't become desperate. You didn't become silent because you were weak. You became silent because you evolved. You outgrew them. Their chaos got boring. Their games got predictable. Their lies got loud, and you just got tired of the noise. They say silence is golden, but in your case, silence is nuclear. It's the aftermath. It's the message they can't ignore. And deep down, they feel it in every late-night thought, in every fake smile they force, in every fake "I'm fine" they whisper to themselves when they remember the one who stayed when no one else did. You and you were real, raw, patient, present. But the moment they mistook that for weakness, that's when they lost everything. Not because you punished them, but because they finally saw the cost of their own blindness. And that cost is permanent. You want to win. Don't talk. Don't explain. Don't throw shots. Just work, build in silence. Stack your peace like bricks. Let them choke on confusion while you feast on focus. Let them hear about you from people they never expected. Let your name be whispered in rooms they never imagined you'd walk into. That's real revenge. That's how warriors rise. Quiet, calculated, unbothered. They thought they had time, that you'd always be there waiting, that no matter how many times they ignored your efforts, brushed off your care, or laughed at your softness, you'd come back, 'cause that's what they were used to. People who beg to stay, people who tolerate half love and call it enough. But not anymore. You had that one final moment where your soul snapped. Not in anger, not in rage, but in clarity. The moment when your heart whispered no more. And for the first time you listened. You didn't make an announcement. You didn't slam the door. You just left, quietly, slowly, completely. And that's the part that haunts them, because they can't rewind time to hear the exact moment your silence started screaming. You see, people don't miss you when you're gone. They miss you when your presence is still felt but no longer available. When they laugh, but it doesn't hit the same, 'cause your voice ain't in the mix. When they succeed, but it feels empty, 'cause you're not there. Cheering like you always did when they break. But there's no text from you saying I'm here. That's when it hits. That's when they finally understand what you were. You were comfort in chaos. You were the one who stayed solid when everything else crumbled. You were the healing they spit on, 'cause they didn't understand the weight of your value. And now that you've gone silent, their world is loud with regret. They'll try to replace you. Oh, they'll scramble to find someone who feels like you. Same laughs, same words, same gestures. They'll try to recreate what you gave so effortlessly, but what they find, it's never the same. What you gave came from a place of truth, real love, real loyalty, real intention, and that can't be mimicked. You are one of one, and once someone loses a soul like yours, everything else starts to taste like cardboard. They'll flirt with imitation, fall for distractions, chase shallow highs, but every now and then they'll hear a joke, see a look, or catch a scent, and your name will hit them like a train they didn't see coming. That's how memory works. When it's tied to depth, it waits, it hides in the corners, and it strikes in silence. And what do? You don't turn back. You don't look for closure. In mouths that never spoke truth, you don't seek apologies from those who only apologize when it benefits them. You keep walking. You keep rising. You keep becoming. Because what broke you also built you. The pain that tried to silence you gave you a new voice. The betrayals that tried to shrink you gave you clarity, and the abandonment that tried to end you It gave birth to the version of you that no longer needs validation to breathe. Let them sit with the silence. Let them feel the hole they carved. Let them talk to their guilt every night when they remember the one person who never needed to be asked to stay. You weren't loud. You weren't dramatic. You were just real. And now that you're gone, so is the calm. So is the warmth. So is the home. They never knew they had until it vanished. And here's the real twist. They didn't break you. No matter how bad they wanted to see you crumble, fall apart, lose your mind, you didn't. You bled. Yeah, you cried in silence when no one was looking. You questioned yourself more times than you can count, wondering if maybe you were too much, or maybe not enough. But you didn't fold. You didn't lose your soul trying to keep theirs intact. You didn't become them. You didn't pick up their venom and make it your weapon. You healed quietly with every breath that hurt to take, with every memory that burned like acid with every night. You had to hold yourself together 'cause no one else was going to do it for you. That's what they'll never understand. It ain't the people who cry out loud that are the strongest. It's the ones who suffer in silence and keep going like nothing's wrong. That's you. You didn't just survive the storm. You became it. You stopped waiting for an apology that was never coming. You stopped explaining your worth to people who were too blind to see it. You stopped seeking peace in places that only gave you war. And in that silence, in that void of no calls, no texts, no "I miss you," you found something they never expected you to find yourself. And now you don't beg to be chosen. You don't fight to be seen. You don't lower your standards just to be tolerated. You know who you are. You know what you bring. You know what it cost you to become this version of yourself. And no one can take that from you. Now, but here's the part that cuts the deepest for them. You're better without them. You glow different. Now you walk heavier. You speak with less words, but more, meaning you smile, not because you've forgotten the pain, but because you've mastered how to carry it without letting it poison your soul. You ain't healed 'cause they said sorry. You healed because you refused to be a prisoner to what they did, and that's power. That's unshakable. That's terrifying. 'Cause the version of you they played with, that version's gone, buried under every betrayal, every silent tear, every fake. I'm fine. And what rose from that grave is someone who can't be manipulated anymore. Someone who sees through the lies. Someone who don't flinch when left alone. They're going to hate the way you shine. Now, not because you did anything wrong, but because you're no longer available to be used. You're no longer accessible to people who only came around when it was convenient. You've cut the cords. You've closed the doors. You've burned the bridge. and watch the smoke rise like a signal to yourself. Never again. And it's not revenge. It's self-respect. It's finally valuing your time, your energy, your peace, more than their approval. And once you taste that kind of peace, there's no going back. You'd rather be alone than half-loved. Rather be silent than misunderstood. Rather be real than liked, and don't let anyone guilt you for walking away, for choosing yourself, for going silent. Let him say you changed hell. You did, you had to the old. You was dying in rooms where your worth was questioned, where your heart was used as a convenience store, open 247 for people who never paid what it was worth. You are draining yourself to fill others up. Always the healer, never the healed. Always the listener, never heard, always the one who showed up, even when nobody noticed your own absence. So, yeah, you changed. You had to. You stopped being a lifeline for people who were busy throwing you overboard. You stopped chasing people who only ran when love got too real. You stopped bleeding for people who handed you the knife. You grew the hell up. And that kind of growth, it don't come wrapped in flowers, it comes wrapped in scars. And let me tell you something real. They'll try to come back. Oh yeah, some of them already think about it. They replay the last things you said. They reread your messages. They stalk in silence. They compare every new connection to you. And nothing feels the same, because nothing is the same. You were rare. You were solid. You were the one who didn't just love. They built with love. You were foundation. And now they realize they weren't just losing a person. They were losing peace, safety, honesty, loyalty. And trust me, when someone's soul remembers what safety felt like in your presence, they never stop looking for it again. But you're long gone. Not out of bitterness, but out of respect. You saw the truth, and you respected yourself enough to walk away from the lies, and it hurts. Yeah, healing ain't some pretty little movie scene with soft piano music. Healing is messy, it's lonely, it's crying at 200 a.m. 'cause you don't recognize your own reflection anymore. It's doubting every decision you make. It's losing people you thought would be there for life. It's unlearning all the lies you were fed, that love is sacrifice without return, that being strong means staying silent, that being kind means being stepped on. Now healing is war. It's war with your thoughts. War with your past, war with the parts of you that want to go back, just for a taste of what almost felt like love. But you keep fighting, day by day, breath by breath, scar by scar, and one day you wake up, and it don't hurt as much. The memories still sting, but they don't control you. The silence is still there, but it feels peaceful. The loss is still real, but it don't own your smile anymore. And that, my friend, is the most terrifying thing about you. Now you learned how to live without them. You learned how to clap for yourself, how to hold yourself down, how to be your own home. They thought they were your lifeline. They thought you'd fall apart without their attention. But you rebuilt from ash alone. And that strength, that silence, that resilience, it's louder than any scream. It's stronger than any apology. It's heavier than any regret they'll ever carry. They say, silence is golden. But in your case, it's a damn weapon. It slices deeper than any words ever could, because the version of you that used to explain, to overthink, to overgive, gone buried, and what rose in its place. It's someone who ain't playing those games. No more someone who sees the patterns, who don't entertain breadcrumbs, who don't chase half-hearted energy. You used to give chances, like they were candy, used to rationalize people's behavior, like it was your job to fix what their parents never taught them. But now you see it clear. You see how they smiled while watching you drown. You see how they disappeared when your light dimmed. You see how they only loved the parts of you that served them. And now that you've taken it all back, they're lost, screaming in silence, choking on their own pride. You know what's worse than heartbreak? Realizing you were never seen clearly by the people you would have died for, that they loved the version of you that dimmed themselves to make them feel important, that they only clapped for you when you were small enough not to outshine them. But now you've grown. You speak with a voice that don't tremble. You move with purpose. You show up for yourself in ways no one ever did. And they're not ready for that. They're not ready for the you that doesn't flinch anymore, the you that walks away instead of negotiating your worth, the you that stays quiet. Not because you're weak, but because you finally realize your peace don't need an audience. Let them watch. Let them gossip. Let them tell themselves whatever stories help them sleep at night. That you were the problem. That you were too much. That you changed. That you ghosted. Let him. 'Cause deep down, when they close their eyes and the world goes quiet, they know the truth. They know exactly who you were, what you gave, what they lost, and what they'll never find again. That's the part they'll never say out loud. That's the shame they'll carry in silence, while putting on a show for everyone else but you. You don't have to prove anything. Your absence screams what your mouth never had to. You don't need a crowd. You don't need validation. You don't need a damn stage to shine. You are the light now, and the ones who couldn't handle that, let them hide, let them shrink in your shadow. 'Cause the real ones, they don't make you beg to be seen. They don't weaponize your love. They don't flinch when you get loud with your truth. So let this be a lesson for anyone who ever dared to mistake your kindness for weakness. You may have been soft once, but now you're unbreakable, still cold, focused, quiet. And that kind of silence, that's how legends are born. And maybe the most poetic part of it all is how your silence became the mirror they refused to face. Because when you stop reacting, you force people to sit with their own reflection. No more distractions, no more deflections, just the raw, uncomfortable truth echoing in every room they enter without you in it. They start to notice how every conversation feels emptier, how every fake laugh sounds hollower, how their wins don't taste as sweet. Their nights feel longer, and their circles get smaller, because you were the glue, the calm, the reason things held together. And now they're realizing that peace isn't found in noise in parties, in rebounds. It was found in you. But they shattered it. They shattered you. And now they want the pieces back. Not because they regret the damage, but because they're finally living inside the silence they forced you to swallow. For so damn long, you learned something sacred when you chose to stay silent. You learned that healing is not loud. It's not some flashy comeback. It's not proving anyone wrong. Healing is waking up and not hating yourself for loving the wrong people. It's walking through memories without bleeding. It's seeing their name and not shaking. It's reclaiming your smile without them in the frame. That's the real win. Not revenge, not applause, just peace. That quiet, untouchable peace that says I made it, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. You didn't just survive. You outgrew. You evolved. You stopped showing up where your presence was tolerated and started walking into rooms where your energy is celebrated. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped being soft in spaces that only weaponized your love. And don't ever think for a second that your absence isn't felt. Oh, it is every single day in the songs they skip, in the spots they avoid, in the jokes that don't land the same, in the eyes of every new person who just doesn't feel like you. That's your legacy, not the pain they caused, but the void they created. You didn't leave them with anger. You left them with silence. And that silence, it's louder than any scream. It doesn't need volume. It doesn't need proof. It just is. It lingers. It questions. It haunts. That's the kind of impact only real ones leave behind. That's the kind of ghost you become when you are the only soul in the room the whole damn time. So keep walking, keep growing, keep your head down and your standards high. You owe no explanations. You owe no return. Let your Success be your punctuation mark. Let your glow be the loudest statement. Let your silence speak in ways your voice never had to, because when they hurt you, they thought you'd vanish, but really they planted you. And now you're blooming in gardens. They can't even enter anymore. And that's power, that's pain turned into poetry. That's what happens when the one who heals in silence decides they never needed an audience to begin with.